Hello Internet and welcome to Comics Crossing. My name is Brando Castro and on today's episode we'll be reviewing issue number 1 of The Legend of Wonder Woman. This issue is the first in a 9-part miniseries currently being published through DC's digital First line. The synopsis for the story reads as such. In the beginning, there was only chaos, but Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons, saw a better future, and eventually her daughter will be destined to bring that new world to life. Before her ultimate fate unfolds though, Diana of Themyscira must first learn the important lessons of an Amazonian childhood. So even though they haven't been released yet, we know that in the following issues the story will overall revolve around Diana's ascension to the role of Wonder Woman. This is by no means uncharted territory for the character, and definitely not unlike another story being published in 2016. But I welcome it as a compact retelling that is, if anything, well timed for Wonder Woman's return to live action this March in Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Renee DeLise, possibly best known for her work on the comic adaptation of Peter S. Beagle's The Last Unicorn, is writing and on the pencils for the story. Her style is very distinctive and not in line with what you would call the traditional superhero look. The only words I can find to describe it are cartoony and curvy, and that's definitely not a bad thing. With her husband Ray Dillon collaborating on colors, the two give the story a bona fide fairy tale look that definitely embraces the mythic themes of the story. This first issue is spent almost entirely explaining who the Amazons are and what their place is in the grand scheme of things is. And while I found a little bit of intrigue in how Zeus and the other gods interacted with the Amazons, where I found myself really engaged is when the story started to focus in on Hippolyta. Hippolyta is an Amazon made immortal by Zeus to serve as queen of the Amazons, but in becoming immortal, Hippolyta can no longer achieve one of her deepest desires, to have a child. This portion of the story takes a very Greek tragedy-esque turn, where Hippolyta makes regrettable decisions in her quest to become mortal once more. But even when the consequences of her actions are high, instead of being punished, Zeus decides to send her and all of the Amazons to an island he creates called Themyscira. And eventually, on one rainy night from the clays of Themyscira, the daughter Hippolyta has so desperately sought is born. Here we see a return to Diana's traditional, magical, and immaculate birth circumstance, as opposed to the New 52 origin written by Brian Azzarello, which broke with tradition and actually wrote Diana as the love child between Hippolyta and Zeus. While there is a certain amount of intrigue surrounding the circumstance of Diana's birth, I felt like the story was leading towards a deeper reason for it. It sort of just happens for the sake of it, but its purpose is served and our story ends as we get a small glimpse at this very serious young girl who senses not all is right with Themyscira. As the opening issue, there's a hefty amount of history laid out, but it's all presented very solidly by Dillon and DeLise. I found the art growing on me bit by bit with each page, and I appreciated how wholly they embraced their design. There isn't a whole lot of character development in this issue, save for Hippolyta, but after this reading I'm definitely open to the idea of someone writing an entire piece for the character. There are some who claim that this story will be the definitive origin for Wonder Woman, and while I'm not entirely on board with such a lofty claim, with just 9 issues total, it's an easy commitment for me to a story that seems to have the full commitment of a talented team. And that's all for this episode, but be sure to subscribe to get notified when the next Comics Crossing comes out, and to keep up with the Paper Cuts podcast where me and my friends talk any and all things comics. And follow us on Twitter at PeteCutsPodcast. And as always, have a good day, have a good life, and I'll see you all next time.